right, let's review how to classify organisms into domains and kingdoms. So first you have 3 domains, and that's just a general way to classify living organisms. You have 3 domains: Archaea, Bacteria, and Eukarya. These 3 domains are divided into 6 kingdoms. In Archaea, domain Archaea is divided into only one kingdom, Archaebacteria. Then you have domain Bacteria, which is also only divided into one kingdom, kingdom Eubacteria. And then domain Eukarya, which is divided into 4 kingdoms: kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. You can categorize organisms into the kingdoms based on 3 factors: cell type, cell number, and feeding type. Cell type includes the presence or absence of cellular structures such as the nucleus, mitochondria, or cell wall. So basically, are they prokaryotic or are they eukaryotic? Remember, prokaryotes do not have a nucleus or structured organelles. A typical prokaryotic cell looks like this, where you have the DNA kind of scrambled in the middle, and only a few outside organelles. Eukaryotes do have a nucleus, and they do have other organelles, such as this typical eukaryotic cell. Obviously, not all of them look like this, but you see the nucleus with DNA inside, other membrane-bound organelles within the cell. The other way you can classify organisms is through cell number. Some organisms are unicellular, which means they only contain one single cell that makes up the entire organism. Other organisms are multicellular, meaning the organism is made of many cells. Unicellular organisms would be kind of like this bacteria. This bacteria right here is the entire organism. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bacteria in this picture alone. I think some of them might be dividing now. The elephant in this picture is one organism that's made up of many different cells working together to create the organism. Then last, you have feeding type. You can categorize organisms based on how they get their food. Autotrophs make their own food, and they can also be known as producers. And heterotrophs must eat other organisms to survive. They're also called consumers. And that also includes decomposers as well, because decomposers eat dead matter, meaning they can't make their own food. So here are your 6 kingdoms. 2 kingdoms, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, are comprised only of prokaryotic organisms. That means that they don't have nuclei. Any organism in these 2 kingdoms, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, do not have a nucleus. The 4 kingdoms that do have a nucleus, where you would find organisms that do have a nucleus, are Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. And all of these 4 kingdoms contain organisms that do have a nucleus because they are eukaryotic organisms. Archaebacteria has organisms that can live in very harsh environments, meaning environments that normal organisms can't live in, where you're only getting nitrogen gas or helium gas. We wouldn't be able to survive there. Plants wouldn't be able to survive there, but some types of ancient bacteria can, and this is the kingdom that they would belong to. They can be both heterotrophic and autotrophic based on what kind of organism it is, or what organism it is, and they are only unicellular. Eubacteria, in kingdom Eubacteria, you have organisms that can live in neutral conditions. They can be autotrophic or heterotrophic, depending on what they are, and they're unicellular. For example, just regular old bacteria. In kingdom Protista, you have organisms that can be both autotrophic or heterotrophic. They are both unicellular and multicellular, meaning you can find organisms that fit both. And for example, you have amoeba and algae would belong to kingdom Protista. In kingdom Fungi, you can have unicellular or multicellular organisms. Like you have a mushroom here, that's a multicellular organism, but yeast, which you would use to make bread with, is only unicellular. These organisms in kingdom Fungi cannot make their own food, which makes them heterotrophic. And like I mentioned before, they can be unicellular or multicellular. In kingdom Plantae, you have plants. Plants are multicellular. They make their own food, meaning they are autotrophic. And there are millions of examples, but just in this picture alone, trees, grass, and flowers. And lastly, we have kingdom Animalia. Organisms in kingdom Animalia are multicellular. They do not make their own food, which means they are autotrophic, and they are capable of movement at some point in their lives. And that's because they have to go out and get nourishment. There are millions of examples in kingdom Animalia, but the three that we have here, jellyfish, lions, and where we fall in, humans, are in kingdom Animalia. So that's about it. That's a general overview of how to classify organisms into domains and kingdoms.